Hello, EduMagicians. Welcome to the EduMagic podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fessich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of EduMagic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
I'm Amber Harper from the Burned In Teacher Podcast and a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey EduMagicians, it's Sam, and before we start into this episode, I want to share with you about an amazing resource. It's called the Educator Candidate Member Portal. AAEE provides you with resources such as virtual job fairs, a job board, interview tips and prep, resume building, webinars. You can even get a copy of the Job Search Handbook digitally. So head on over to aaee.org and create your free Educator Candidate Member account today. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the EduMagic podcast. My name is Dr. Sam Fessich, and today I have a special bonus episode for you. This episode is a recording of the KDP Student Teaching During COVID webinar series that I host. If you are a student teacher, or you know a student teacher, please join in on these free webinars. They are sponsored by Kappa Delta Pi and hosted by yours truly. If you're interested, head on over to bit.ly/KDP student teachers to register for free for these webinars. They are every Monday from 2 to 2:30 Eastern. And each week I bring on a special guest and we share about best practices for online learning and teaching. So head on over to bit.ly/KDP student teachers. So without further ado, here is the episode, How to Engage Students in Online Learning Using 3 EdTech Tools. Hey friends, welcome to Student Teaching During COVID. It is 2 o'clock. We have an exciting day planned for you guys. I want to thank you for stopping by on this Monday afternoon, or maybe it's mid-morning, wherever you're attending from. And I'm going to thank you so much for joining me on our webinar series hosted by Kappa Delta Pi. And let's just jump right in and get started. So you'll see over in our GoToWebinar, you guys are all muted, but we do have a Padlet there. And if you have ever used Padlet, or if you've never used it before, this is a great tool for collaboration. So as we work through today's session, we're going to learn about 3 EdTech tools. I'll call them my Fessich favorites that we can use to collaborate, engage, and motivate our students in learning. So if you head on over to that Padlet, as you think of ideas or strategies, drop them in there, because we are all better together. The smartest person in the room is for sure the room. We can all gain from each other's experience, strategies, and knowledge. So drop those ideas in there. We are all better together. So head on over to that Padlet and do so whenever you get a moment. Also today, if you have any great ideas, or if you're feeling inspired by something that's shared, head on over to social and share it out with hashtag KDP and hashtag EduMagic. I would love to connect with you all over there. So let's jump right into today's session. So hi there, my name is Dr. Sam Fessich, and I'm a professor at Grove City College. I have the honor and the privilege of working with future educators each and every day in areas related to ed tech and special education. And I also get to oversee a few of our special ed student teachers. It's a fantastic opportunity to see them grow and learn as educators of excellence from their freshman year all the way up through their senior year in student teaching. I'm the author of EduMagic, a guide for pre-service teacher, co-author of EduMagic Shine On, a guide for new teachers, and co-creator of the EduMagic Planner, a planner just for future teachers, kind of a theme here with EduMagic of future teachers. I'm a huge pumpkin spice latte fan, so this is my season of fall. I love me some PSLs, and I'm also host of the EduMagic podcast. You can find it wherever you rock out to your podcast, and I would love to connect with each of you over on Instagram or Twitter at sfessage. So today, I want to share with you some ways we can use educational technology to engage our learners in new ways. The tools I'm going to show you today, you can use across platform, you can use in hybrid, face-to-face, and in online spaces to help engage your students and help to connect with them in different ways using video, text, images, lots of different ways to connect, communicate, and collaborate with our students. We know that technology truly can make the impossible possible. And these tools I'm going to show you today are great examples of that, great ways for not only us, the teachers, to show some content to our students in different ways, but also for them to show us what they know in really unique ways. So I am really excited to share with you some of my top Fessage favorites. So I'm going to just move that down right about here. So all the tools I'm going to show you today, they are all free. There are paid versions if you want them. I just use the freebies, guys, because I feel like as teachers, sometimes we just got to specialize in free. They work across platforms. So Apple and PC, they work on your phone. They work on laptops, tablet devices as well. They're all very user friendly. They don't take a lot of time to set up. They're pretty easy to use. Now, granted, with all technology, we just got to sometimes dip our toe in the water and get used to it a little bit, but I promise you they are fantastic tools. They are not hard to use. Everything that I'll show you today, you can share it out with other teachers, with your school district, and with students as well, depending on what type of platform they're using. So sometimes there's links just for Google Classroom, sometimes there's link to Remind, and sometimes there's just a link or an embed code that you can pop into your website. All those tools that I'll show you, they engage learners in different ways, and they can be used to not only create content for us as teachers to create content in different ways and mix it up a little bit, but also for our students to show what they know in different ways. There's fantastic resources out there that can help you along the way. So today I'm just going to give you an overview of 3 of my favorite tools. We're going to talk about how we can use these tools in our classroom. So make sure you head on over to that Padlet. The link is in the chat, and drop some ideas that you have to use some of these tools in your class, or if you have used them, that's awesome, because I want to hear about that too. All right, so here we go. How the rest of the session is going to run today is I'm going to share my screen with you guys, so give me some grace to escape out of the PowerPoint and hop into my browser. I'm going to set them up, show you how to do the setup, show you some student perspective, some ways that they interact with the content, ways that you can create with that content, talk about ideas for classroom use, and then also how you will share out those tools if you want to use them with your teaching partners or with your students as well. All right, so our top 3 today are, first one we're going to talk about is Wakelet. Next, we're going to talk about Pear Deck, and next we're going to talk about Flipgrid. All 3 of these tools are wonderful ways for us to create content, communicate with our students, and have our students even collaborate with each other using some of these tools. So first up, remember, drop on over to our Padlet, drop some ideas in there. I would love to see what you guys have. I'll be checking over there towards the end of our session so we can share out those ideas. And if you find anything you want to share out on social, head on over and use KDP and EduMagic in there as well. All right, first up, we have Wakelet, and this is one of my new Fessage favorites, guys. I started using this like midsummer, early fall, and I am really enjoying it. I love that I can use this as a way to create content for my students. So instead of giving them a Word doc with a couple of links to click on, I'll send them a Wakelet, and it has some images, some text, some links, but it looks very clean and professional, so I can send that out. I can even embed it in our learning management system. We use Microsoft Teams, and I can embed them in there, which is a great way to keep all my resources together. I can use it to connect my learners together. So fun fact, I was teaching my intro to special education class, and usually when I teach this one lesson about special education law, I lecture about it, and lecture on video can be kind of boring. So I decided, like, probably an hour before the class, you know what, let's try Wakelet. Instead of me lecturing to you all about a law or court case, I'm going to have you guys create a Wakelet about it. You all are assigned a different court case. Here are some resources. So I gave them like probably about 5 or 6 different links to resources that talk about different laws related to special ed. And they had to collaborate with a team member, a classmate, and they created a Wakelet. So they created something that had a link, a video, a little summary, and some additional resources that we can go and look for some more stuff. So that was a really cool way to use that teachable moment. They're learning about something, they are sharing it with each other, and then at the end of class, we came together and they were able to share about that in the large group setting. And it's also a great way to differentiate that instruction, friends. So I can have different Wakelets set up for different students. So if I want some students to read, other students can listen, and other students can watch, and I can have similar content related around the topic area, but I can send them different Wakelets, send them different ways to get there. Because sometimes when it comes to learning, we get there from all different ways. We can drive, we can take a bus, we can roller skate, we can scooter, but we can all get to that topic in different ways and learn material that's going to benefit us. So give me some grace here to escape out of my presentation and hop on into Wakelet. Oh, I see some of us are already in there. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so with Wakelet, what I can do is I'm going to show you a really quick example of something I've done with my students. I remember I teach future teachers, so this might look a little bit different. So here we have some information about digital portfolios. We have some content here, stuff that they can listen to and apply what they know. So go create something. Now that you've read about it and listened about it, go do something with that info. And I can share that out with them and they're able to engage in that material. Another example is teacher self-care. This was sent out. We did a practicum, I believe, about teacher self-care, where we did a self-care challenge. There's a video in there, some links and PDFs as well, which are fantastic resources for my student teachers to look at and engage with. So let's talk about how we can use this, how we set one up. So with Wakelet, create your free account. You can log in with Google, leaving a login with Microsoft as well. And you're going to create collections. And that's what these things are. You create collections of content that you want to share with your students. So if I click here where it says create collection, I'm going to enter a title. We're going to do KDP webinar series of awesomeness. Usually I'm not really good at typing live, so you'll have to give me the benefit of the doubt here with some spelling. You can make it fancy schmancy. You can upload your own picture or choose from the library. I always usually just choose from the library. And we'll put in teacher here. Okay, let's try teacher. And that looks fantastic. And what it'll do is like, okay, what kind of image would you like? You can do half or full. I usually do a half so it doesn't take up my whole screen. And this plus sign is where the magic happens in Wakelet, friends. So this is where you can start riding the Wakelet wave because you can add so much to this. So what I love about Wakelet, and I use it with my students, but I also have a Twitter chat that I have with a colleague, Dr. Joanne Zimmerly, who we go in and we create a Wakelet for all the Twitter chat, everything that was said during that Twitter chat. So we use tweets there. You can paste in URLs. So if you want to grab that Padlet URL, I'm just going to come on over here and I'm going to paste it in there. It's going to add to my Wakelet. And then I can add content above or below that, depending on how I want to organize it. I can add in some text, so I can add in some headers. Maybe I want to walk students through a process. Read this, listen to that, document what you know here, maybe put a Padlet, and apply what you know. So maybe I want to have some headings there to break up my content and maybe some instructions after those headings. I can use that with my text option, and I can put that here. I can add in more content. I can pull in YouTube. I can put in any bookmarks I have on my browser, pop in an image. If I have a PDF I want them to look at or to review, I can pull that up. So let's see what I got here. If I pull, okay, all right, that's not too bad. So I can pull in some PDFs and here we go. We'll grab that. And it's going to upload your PDF and pop it right into there for students to look at and review. You can also edit and rename any of that content. So if you just have like Unit 1 PDF, you could change it to be whatever you would like it to be. So it's a little bit more explanatory of what they're going to find there. You can pop in stuff from you can connect with Google Drive, you can connect with OneDrive, and you can also connect with Flipgrid, which is another reason why I'm showing you Flipgrid today, because Flipgrid and Wakelet play very nicely together in the sandbox of tech. And you can attach Flipgrid video prompts to your Wakelet. So if you want to walk your students through content, read this, listen to that, document your learning here in the Padlet, or document your learning here in Flipgrid. Give me a video response about how you're feeling about today's topic. What did you learn about? What are some takeaways? So you can do lots of different things and add different types of content within your Wakelet. You can change the type of view too, so you can get fancy with it if you want. I kind of like the mood board. It just, if you have a lot of content here, it'll stagger the content. It'll look really cool. And then to share it out with your students, you can go into, you can also do some things within your collection too. You can share it. You can add a background image if you want to get really fancy with it. And then up here in the top right, you can make it public so everybody can see it. You can make it unlisted, so maybe you just send the link to your students, or you can make it private, only you can see it. So I usually make mine public, and then I can share it out with my students. I'm going to click on done. It looks great, right? I'm totally done with this. And I can click on share. And here's really a cool part. I can have it as a QR code for my students. I can pop it into Classroom or Teams, share it out on Twitter because, it's pretty great. So I'm going to share that out on Twitter. I can embed it into my class website, or I can just export it as a PDF and send it to my students via email. So there's lots of different ways to share within Wakelet. And you can also invite other teachers or collaborators. So this is what my students did. They invited their peers to their Wakelet so they can both collaborate on the same Wakelet and create their own content. They can share by code or share the link, and that was really helpful for them to learn a technology tool, collaborate with a peer, and to learn the content as well. So Wakelet is a really powerful tool to curate that content, share it out, collaborate with peers, and just have fun with a different way to show your students some content. So instead of giving them a Word doc with links, I like to send them a Wakelet that gives them more information. All right, it's 2:15. We got 15 more minutes. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Another Fessage favorite of mine is Pear Deck. Pear Deck is a fantastic tool. It's very similar to Nearpod. So if you've used Nearpod, you're gonna like Pear Deck too. What I like about it is it has prompts, and I love using this with my student teachers because it helps prompt them through a presentation. You also don't have to recreate the wheel. So if you have a presentation that you absolutely love, you can just upload it right into Pear Deck. You can connect it with your Google Drive. You can connect it with your OneDrive, depending on how you log in with Gmail or OneDrive, and you can just start working through your presentation, and it'll help you with prompting to engage your students. With Pear Deck, I can do some formative assessment. I can have students do SEL checks, so they're social emotional. Even at the college level, you want to check in and see how they're doing. So let me show you a little sneak peek about that too. So here we go. I'm going to click on Choose Prompt. And what's nice about Pear Deck is if you're using Office 365, you can just insert the add-on and create right within there, or you can use it right within Google Slides too. So you don't have to download anything extra. You have it all there for you. So within Pear Deck here, I have some different topics that I can put into my presentation. What I really like is you can change them out too. So thinking about our last class, we met last week. What are some things you're wondering about today's topic? How does it relate to last week's topic? How are you feeling about today's topic? Something you can ask during class. One of my favorites though are these stress checks. So as students come into the room, this would be up on, as they come into the virtual space, this would come up on the screen and they can click a dot to show where they are. And this is a great check-in. So my 1s and 2s, I know that they're ready to rock and roll. My 5s through 10s, I'm gonna have to check in on them after class and see how they're doing. Definitely my 8, 9, and 10s be like, hey, I'm really glad you came to class today. I noticed you were a little distracted today. How can I help you? What can I clear up for you? Anything I can do to help you out. And then my 4, 5s, and 6s, hey, great to see you in class today. Glad you were participating, and name something specific that they participated in. And then my 1s and 2s, great to have you here, virtual high five, that type of stuff. What's something cool you learned? Also within Pear Deck, what I also enjoy about it, so let me go back to these prompts here, and it's thinking. I like to tell my students computers need think time too, just like we do. So like I said, we have beginning of class prompts, during class. We have our KWL, because every teacher loves our KWL chart, and things we can do at the end of class to see how our learning went. And here's some different options for formative assessment to see how, if my students are tracking what I'm throwing down here, I can have them draw a picture or solve an equation, show on a graph, do a Venn diagram. They can do thumbs up, thumbs down, and drop their dots wherever they're feeling. Multiple choice, add a number, text response. There's lots of things I can do during my presentation. I can just do a quick activity and see how they're doing, and then I can make adjustments on my presentation based on that information. And I can go back, because I can see all the data from here, and I can go back and I can see how my students did with that lesson. Do I need to reteach? Do I need to go back, or can I move forward in our next class? So Pear Deck's a fantastic tool. You can record your sessions, record the data from your sessions, and get the information that you need about your students and make those informed teaching decisions. And the next one I want to show you as we finish up our talk today, we have about 10 more minutes and pretty good on timing, is Flipgrid. And this is a really, really unique tool to have students record their video responses to different prompts that you provide. And the first step in starting a Flipgrid is, create an account. With all these tools, you need to create accounts, and you're going to create a class. After you create your class, you're going to get to something like this, where you can create some topics. And what topics are, is think of them as discussion posts that you can have students respond to. So here you can see an example of one that I did with my students. So we had the Charlotte Danielson components, and usually during class time when we are face-to-face, I would have them do an Ignite session. It would probably take about 3 or 4 days of class for them to do their Ignite session across all 22 components. And I found I'm definitely going to do this when we are back face-to-face, because using Flipgrid, I was able to save so much teacher time and actually have an extra day of class by using Flipgrid. So what I did was I gave them a prompt. You have to identify your Charlotte Danielson component, share about what it is, how it's used in the classroom, those types of things. And they created a Flipgrid video Ignite session, which is about 5 minutes long. They had 20 slides that auto-advanced every 15 seconds. So not only did they learn a new way to present material in an Ignite session, which is a really fun way. So you have all your content, it's out there. You need to be succinct, and you can't read off the screen. But they also learned a new tech tool, and they were able to go in and view each other's content. So what I like about Flipgrid is, yes, it talks to Wakelet like we did earlier, so you can drop a Wakelet or a link to Flipgrid in your Wakelet. It also has immersive reader embedded within here. So for my students who are having a hard time accessing content, they can just click on here and it'll read it aloud to them. It'll change the contrast if needed. My students can also have access to mixed tapes, which I created a couple of mixed tapes on different domains. So they were able to go in, watch all of domain 1 and 2. They actually had a little watch party. They had to watch their videos, and then they had to document what they learned about. And then same for 3 and 4, and they documented in their portfolio what they learned about. So it's really easy to create these topics right within Flipgrid. So as a teacher, you're just going to go bop on over to add topic, create your title. There we go. I was like, I'm struggling here. Words. You can set the recording time so it can be super quick, or it can be up to 10 minutes long. So we'll just do 15 seconds. You can even have closed captions available. So this is great for our bilingual students. As a teacher, you can moderate the discussion, so you have to approve it before it goes out to your students. So you have to say, yes, this can go out on our board, or nope, we got to redo that one. You could also add in additional media. So if you want to record your own prompts, you could. You can upload or link to a YouTube video for additional content. So in my example for the Ignite sessions, I could have put in a YouTube video that reviewed about what Ignite session was, or the example that we saw in class. You can get fancy with your GIFs or add emojis. You can also add in lots of different content here. You can add a Wakelet there if you want to put in a whole bunch of resources for additional content for students to refer to. Pop in a Kahoot, because Kahoots are fun. And you can do other things like Buncee and Wonderopolis as well. A daily wonder, I think Wonderopolis has. Within here, you can close it down to just the students in your organization has access to this Flipgrid, or you can make it public, which is really neat. I've noticed some teachers will go and they'll make a Flipgrid public to get worldwide perspectives on a content area, and they'll put it out on social media like, hey, colleagues, can you share your ideas about the recycling process and how you promote that in your classroom, or how you promote that in your school, and other schools and teachers able to chime in. It's really unique how some teachers use this tool. I usually just shut it down to my students because it's just usually for an assignment with mine. And you can also add in guests. So if you want to have an expert come into that Flipgrid and give their response, you could do that as well. And you can click create topic. Whoops, sorry, I forgot to choose something here. Let's just go with public. So within here, your students would get access to your Flipgrid. You can share it out on Teams, Classroom, Remind, you can embed it. And just like with Wakelet, you can grab a QR code as well. So that's a really unique way for students to record. So let me show you what it looks like on their end. So they could see this response. They can record on their device, on their phone, or on their computer. And I'm not sure if it's going to let me do my video because it's currently being shared with GoToWebinar. But within recording their response, they have several options. So they can upload a clip of a video if they've already, recorded something. They can record their screen. So this is cool for teachers. You can record your screen demoing something, showing how to do something. And send that to your students as a way to get content out there. So I had my students record their screen as they're presenting their PowerPoint presentation. And I can put in effects, so I can put in my filters, my frames. I can add in some text if I want to have some text about what I'm talking about in this presentation. I can have a drawing board as well. And then they can just click record. It's going to count them down, 3, 2, 1. It'll have them record their response. And then once they like it, they can take a selfie and have it post to the Flipgrid topic, which is a really unique way, again, to give content to students, to have them show what they know in different ways. And it's also often used in the beginning of class, beginning of semester for introductions, first 9 weeks, introductions to students, especially if they're in that hybrid space, some are online, some are home, having Flipgrid as a virtual introduction, or having a Flipgrid like 5-minute warm-up activity at the beginning of maybe every Friday class. So I'm going to pause here, friends. We talked about Wakelet as a way to curate content. We talked about Pear Deck as a way to engage students in learning with formative assessment and SEL check-ins. We talked about Flipgrid, which is a great way for students to record video prompts of themselves or record their screen and share what they know in different ways. So I'm going to head on over to Padlet and see what ideas we have come up with. And I'm going to open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions, please drop it in. Just drop it in our Padlet and we can see what we have so far. So what questions do we have? What ideas do we have to implement these strategies in our classrooms? All right, awesome. So let me see here. Will there be a link or a transcript about today's session so we know the suggestions you made? Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that. So we started off our KDP sessions with 3 edtech tools. One of them was Wakelet. This week, you'll receive a Wakelet with the presentation. You'll receive also in that Wakelet the presentation, the link to all 3 tools that we talked about today, and a link to the recording, along with ideas that everybody has posted here in this Wakelet of how to use it in the classroom, how to use these different tools in the classroom. So yes, you will get more information to refer back to when needed. That's a great question. I have 2:29. We're going to end 2:30. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much for joining us on our first KDP webinar. Any ideas you have for topics or suggestions for topics, please DM them to me over on Twitter or Instagram at @sfessage, and I'm happy to connect with you all there. Thanks for joining us on our first session. And next week we have Brittany Caldwell joining us as a guest presenter, and she's going to be sharing all about the importance of building relationships in virtual, hybrid, and face-to-face traditional classes. So you don't want to miss that. She's going to be a great presenter and share awesome takeaways for you guys. So thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
There you have it, EduMagicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more EduMagic, check out sfessage.com and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram at sfessage. Until next time, you have the EduMagic within you.